Hi, everybody. Nancy Golden here, and I am a little late coming on. I had a different topic today. Originally, I invited a guest to come on to talk about um, language and why should early learners learn a foreign language. And I was really excited for it to happen, but there was a uh, issue with the scheduling. So we'll have to reschedule that interview because my guest presenter was coming from Brazil. We were streaming live from Brazil, and of course, there's a difference in time, and so there was an issue with her schedule today. So we'll just have to do it at another time. So right now, I just want you to know to always remember to like, share, and subscribe to my channel, Learn with Miss Nancy. This channel is geared for students between the ages of 0 and 6 years old, early learners. This channel is for students who are early learners, for their parents, for their teachers, and for their friends. I provide delightful educational content for early learners. So um, I just need you guys to subscribe to my channel and share with all of your friends. And on Tuesday, I come to you live at 1 o'clock. So I'm a little late. I recorded, but it was only recording only and wasn't live. So I'm getting this, I'm getting better with this technology, I tell you. But anyway, so the title of my uh, session today is I Didn't Get It Right. I didn't get it right. And what does that mean? I didn't get it right. Well, I'm educator extraordinaire, honey. I have been teaching for 32 years. Now, I am not an early childhood educator. I'm not an early childhood educator. I am an educator. Like I told you before, my degree, undergrad degree from Cheney University, whoo, Cheney, is in special education. My master's is in educational administration, and I have two certificate, three, one in elementary elementary principalship, another one in as a K-12 certified principal, and then curriculum instruction and supervision, but not early childhood education. So what I bring to the table is a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of experiences that I can share with those who work in the field of early childhood education, just to enhance what it is that you do. So we all work together, right, to shape the beautiful minds of these early learners as much as possible and as much as appropriate. And I always say that as much as possible and as much as appropriate, we want to expand their early learning experiences. And that's what I can help do. So remember to like, share, and subscribe to Learning with Miss Nancy. Do that for me. I'm trying to get to 1,000 views. And right now, I think I'm at 507. So we're moving right along. So the topic today is I didn't get it right. I didn't get it right. Well, Miss Nancy, Teacher of the Year, oops, that does it well, that does all things well in education. What did I not get right? I didn't get it right when dealing with this one student in particular. And this student, let's call him Raphael just to protect the name of the innocent. Let's call him Raphael. I spent about 17 years at this one school district school. And at this school, I worked in a number of capacities. I was a special education teacher, and then I became the special education liaison and the department chair and the eighth grade sponsor. And I mean, you name it, I did it. And I was a resource room teacher this one particular year, and I had students. And of course, the students would come and go. They would leave their regular ed classroom during those days. They would leave their regular ed classroom and come to me for instruction in either reading and math or reading or math. And the way it was set up, I only had at one time maybe 3 to 4 students at any one time. And I provided tutorial type instruction for these children. So they had an IEP, and I would sort of implement the goals and strategies of the IEP to make sure that they hit certain benchmarks, right? So whatever area of deficiency they may have been described as having difficulty, in IEP, I would use those strategies that we discussed in the IEP meeting to enhance their skills. All right, long story short. So this one student in particular, it was an 8th grade student, we'll call him Raphael. Raphael was, to give you a composite, Raphael was an 8th grade student who was loved by all the girls. He was very handsome and very charming. All the girls loved him. He was liked by all the boys because he was so cool, but he was disliked by the administration and by the teachers alike. I personally didn't have any problems with him because when he would come into my classroom, there was no need to act up and act out because it was a small group, 2 to 3 students at one time. And he could get all of the attention that he needed during the time that he had me for reading instruction. He only came to me for reading instruction. Okay. Now, this young man, although he was in the 8th grade, his reading skills were very low. He knew his sight words and the Dolch words and those kinds of things, but his fluency was very low. His word attack was very low. His phonemic awareness was very low. Basically, he may have been at that time maybe a pre-prim or 1st grade, 2nd grade student. He was very low for 8th grade. So in many cases, I read text to him orally, but he was very, very able, proficient, I would say, in responding to questions that I may have asked about the text or story that I read to him aloud. For example, he was always able to give the main idea of the story. He could always sequence events of the story. He could always make inferences about the story. He could always predict the outcomes of the story, right? So you see where I'm going. All of those are components of reading. Now, unlike many of my other students who may have been word callers, and a word caller is a student who can read every word on the page, every word that you put before them, but they cannot comprehend anything that they've read. They're typically called word callers. He wasn't that kind of student. He could comprehend everything. He just couldn't read anything. So, and he would get actually very bored in my classroom because I would use strategies to try to enhance his skills. And he was like, oh my goodness, oh, you're driving me crazy. And so I remember, in special education, every year you give what they call the annual assessment. And that is to determine if you have reached the goals and objectives of the IEP, right? To see how the child has, if the child has accomplished or reached or mastered any of the goals of the IEP. So I said, okay, Raphael, it's time for your annual assessment. And during those days, I gave something called the Peabody Individualized Assessment. And so I said, okay, it's time for your test. And he got upset with me. He said, well, I can't read. Why are you giving me a reading test? You already know what I can't read. Give me a math test so I can show you how smart I am. And I said, well, sweetheart, I don't instruct you in math. Reading only. I know, but I want to show you how smart I am, please. And he just begged me. I said, well, let me appease this young man and give him a math test. Okay. So, me, teacher of the year, why wouldn't I be? Okay. After all, I am the expert in special education, right? So I proceeded to give him a math test, and I used the Peabody Individualized Assessment for the math component. In this test, you can read the prompts, and they have to select pictures and, select the correct answer, blah, blah, blah. So I'm thinking, well, he's very low in reading. I'm sure his math is not, too far behind. So I started him off maybe on a second grade test. I don't remember, but it was a low test. And in the Peabody Individualized Assessment, if the student makes 5 consecutive errors, 5, you stop the test, grade the test, and it gives you a score. Now, with this particular test, it gives you not only the level of instruction, it gives you the level of frustration, and the level of independence, where the child can function by himself, where the child needs to be taught, and the child and the level where it may be too much and too high for the student. Okay, so I start the test. And I'm flipping the chart and I'm noticing the second grade test, perfect score, third grade, perfect score, fourth grade, perfect score. Now I'm starting to pay attention because he had perfect score, fifth grade, perfect score, sixth, seventh. Now I'm really focused because he hasn't made any mistakes. We're in the 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade. Oh my goodness, this young man hasn't made any errors. Are you kidding me? This non-reader, this disruptive kid who gets on everybody's nerves, hasn't made any mistakes. What? And I'm testing and testing until when he finished the test, he scored a 12.5. A 12.5 is post high school. So it's after high school, pre-college. Oh, oh, I immediately, like after I dismissed him, I ran down the hall to the school psychologist, because in those days, the school psychologist was right there in the building. We didn't have to worry about him sharing our school psychologist with another school. We didn't have to worry about the school psychologist having certain days coming to the class. Oh, no, 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 no. The school psychologist was there every single day, all day long. I ran to Dr. Leave out her name, and I said, oh my goodness, you won't believe it. You won't believe it. Raphael scored a 12.5 on the Peabody, and we jumped and we danced around the office. We were so excited, and so she proceeded to follow the steps for assessing him for giftedness. And with that, you have to do a number of tests. You interview the parents. You give questionnaires to the teachers. You look at sample work and all of this. Once she collected all of her data, let me tell you, our Raphael was deemed gifted. Now, how can you be gifted and you're disrupted in class? You get on everybody's nerves in school. You can't read, right? But you're mentally gifted. I missed it. We missed it. We all missed it. We didn't get it right. And there are a number of factors that played a part in this whole scenario. One, he came from a home where both parents spoke nothing but Spanish. That's the first thing. Nothing but Spanish. So he interpreted for his parents, but there weren't at those, and we're talking a long time ago. We're talking early 80s. We didn't have like from the district people to go out and what is it called? Translate for you. Not like they do now. We have a whole office, I think, with the school district. They have people to go out and come to meetings and translate for parents in their language. That was kind of limited at in those days. But we didn't have that. He was a translator. So now imagine, I can't imagine what that's like. Nor can you if you only speak one language. I'm fluent in English, and so are many of you. And we take things for granted, but imagine leaving school and going home to your home environment where there's no one speaking English but you. Would that impact your reading ability? Would it? In some ways, shape, or form? So there were a number of variables that may have contributed to his inability to read. And I missed it, didn't get it right. So once we found out he was gifted, we shared it with him, and he was so excited. He said, I told you I was smart. That was his response, you know? And we did put in place some mechanisms in place to make sure that he has success in high school. Um, he was included in the mentally gifted program for high school to follow him through, but I didn't follow up with him. I wish I had. I'd love to know what Raphael is doing right now because he was a brilliant kid, but I missed it. And that changed my perspective as I taught children. And right after that, I think our school started doing a lot of training, not because of him, but it was just a sequence of events as far as our calendar, when our academic calendar was concerned. We had training on Howard Gardner and the multiple intelligences, were tied right into what I was experiencing with our Raphael. That means looking at a child differently and looking at the giftedness of children and looking at how every child is different. And as an educator, as a parent, as a teacher, and as a friend, we have to put in place things to appeal to the various learning styles of children, because we have to figure out what makes their heart smile. That's something to think about. What makes their heart smile? What makes them glow and grow? What's that special something? What's that je ne sais quoi that makes them different and unique from everyone else? And then use that information to instruct them, to get them to where they need to be. And we can't keep all kids in the same box. Every child is different. It's almost like putting on my glasses and taking them off and putting on another set of glasses to see even clearer what it is I need to know and do. So that changed my life. It changed my way of thinking, and it changed my way of educating children, and it changed my way of interacting with children and how I see children. And that experience has stayed with me till this day, even though I am retired, and I've been retired since 2013, and it's now 2024. I'm still always thinking about children and ways to make their lives better, ways to help adults understand how to differentiate instruction, right? To appeal to the learning styles of children and to help them understand who's sitting before you. You know, it's important for us to understand the data. Like I had data on them, but I had to look a little, we have to delve a little deeper. You know, we have a composite sketch of who we have in our classrooms, but we got to look beyond that data sometimes and look at the clues that the child is giving you that may not be written on that chart. Look beyond some of those behaviors that may have been displayed, right? And look beyond what's written down and see if you can find some other. It's almost like you got to be a NCIS strategist, right? You got to investigate. Not a crime scene investigator, but an educational scene investigator. I don't know, but you got to look and delve deep to see who it is that you're teaching. And once you figure that out, and once you discover those nuances, then you're on your way to helping that child become a better student. A better student. Once we realized who Raphael was, he became a better student, both academically and social emotionally. Because once we recognized who he was, he walked around the school in a different persona. You know, I'm mentally gifted. I'm different. That was his attitude. Look at me. I told you guys I was smart. I'm not. And he started changing because we looked at him different and treated him differently, you know? So that's my lesson. And I hope that you've learned a lesson, and share some thoughts with me if you have, if this has helped you at all. And I hope you have some takeaways that you can apply to your classroom or to your home life or to your after school program or your youth group. No matter what, if you're working with early learners, this is a great place to start by identifying who's standing in front of you and start devising your own composite of who's standing in front of you. I always say to my teachers, it's good to have like a composite of your child. I remember when I used to go out for auditions and I would have to take my headshot. right? You have your headshot, a picture of yourself, but on the back of the headshot would be all your geographical information. It would be your interest, your uh, successes and things. So when the producer needed a particular actor, he could look at the back of that composite and say, "Oh, this is Nancy, and she likes to write, and she likes to sing, and she likes to make create plays, and she does this and this and this." And so he would see me in a different light, even though he had my picture in the front. On the back, there was additional information that sort of provided a a, a, a perfect view of who I am, and that's what you want. You want a perfect view. Not just a little picture. You want a perfect view. Okay. So that's all for today. And hopefully we'll have that person, our guest, on to talk about the importance of kids learning a foreign language. That's very important. So until then, please remember to like, to share, and to subscribe to Learning with Miss Nancy. You will be so glad that you did. I know that I will. Bye bye, everybody.